Hello, everybody, or anybody, or if anybody's there. Oh, one person's there. Um, if they don't disappear anyway. Hope you're doing well, whoever you are. Just thought I'd do an impromptu tea time live. I feel a bit of a fraud though, because to be honest, I haven't actually got a cup of tea with me. Only water. Didn't really feel like it, to be honest. It's been quite humid, so I thought, yeah, the fan's not too loud for you. But I had to turn it on because it gets quite warm. I guess the heat given off from the computer. So what's everybody up to? What have you been doing today? We kicked off Women's World Cup readathon, and that was kind of exciting. A couple of people joined in or slid into the Discord server, to chat about it as we watched it live. I had to watch the first game in with Czech commentary, so that was good. That was good practice for me and my language ability. And then the second game was a bit weird because I watched it with no commentary, but I had the cricket commentary from the radio on because England were playing Australia in the Ashes as well. So that was kind of weird having a different sports commentary over the top of the football. But yeah, it's kind of surprising. I don't know if anyone who's actually watching, who's joined the conversation, watched any of the matches today. But New Zealand beating Norway was a bit of a surprise, and considering it was New Zealand's first ever World Cup win, so it was exciting. So I guess for the people who had Norway as their country, now surprised that they have to read something from New Zealand. So that's pretty cool. That's the nature of it. So I don't know. I haven't got much to report really in terms of reading. I've gone through a bit of a slump, and things have been quite busy. So I've had to pick up some extra work and stuff like that because of housing issues, house building issues. But we'll get through it. I mean, at least I know that it's temporary. It's just basically for the duration of the construction, so it's not too bad. But and I haven't really got any updates on the construction either, which is a little bit frustrating, especially from my point of view. So because it'd be nice, having started the second YouTube channel, My Little House in Bohemia, I thought, oh, it's great. They started building. Won't be long. I'll be able to do like updates every week. And now they've basically taken 6 weeks off, and I won't have anything probably to until middle of August. So we'll see how that pans out. But I guess if you have a house built, it's the same everywhere. I'm sure that there's always elements of waiting and frustration and stress and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I guess that's what it is. So there's 5 or 6 people here, and you're being strangers. Come on, write something in the comments. Let me know who's here at least. Otherwise, I feel I'm just talking into the void. What have I been reading? Well, I've been reading. Why am I saying it like someone's actually asked that question? I guess I'm asking myself that question. I've been reading for the longest time, since the start of the month, The Dreaming Suburb by R.F. Delderfield, which is an excellent book. But other things cropped up and slowed my reading. I should finish one book this week at least, which is The Silver Sword by Ian Sorellia, which is a children's book, part of BookTube at War. I'm also reading Gone with the Wind, which is excellent, but it's, for a week or so, I haven't made any progress really, just because I'm, as I say, having to, put reading and BookTube to some extent on the back burner probably for a while, I think. So there we go. It's probably part of the relaunched my subscription service as well, because I think if I have to take on extra online lessons and lessons like that, so I don't really have time for just making too many YouTube videos. And then I thought, well, if I have like a Patreon style system, then there's kind of that, of course, extra motivation. I know it seems a bit mercenary, but such as life. So who's here? Ariane, good, nice to see you. You still need to read a book for Germany. Well, I mean, there's lots of things. Why don't you read? Why don't you just read a fairy tale from the Brothers Grimm? That will sort you out. That will count. MJ, hi there. Summer, good to see you. Making early lunch. And you're actually making. See you. Making early lunch. And you're actually making spaghetti. Ivan, welcome. Nice to have you. Welcome. Morgan is here. I'm reading To the Lighthouse. It's slow going because of the writing style. Yes, yeah. She can be a bit like that, Virginia Woolf, I think. Steve Donahue. Hello, I'm old here. Hello, Steve. How's it going? Dear. So, yeah. I'm also I'm reading a book as well, which has kind of pulled me a little bit out of my slump because it's one of these kind of cozy mysteries, I suppose, of some sort. It's called the Bangalore Detective Club, maybe. I can't remember the author's name. Oh, hi, Grace. Good to see you. Can't remember the author's name, but it's quite good. It's a mystery set in 1920s India, in Bangalore, surprisingly, and it's quite enjoyable. There's a lot of Englishness in it, which I suppose is to some degree, of course, well deserved, but it is a bit awkward for me. So, Steve, looking at the news, I have only one question: how's the heat over there? Well, it's hot. I mean, it's more humid today. It's kind of overcast at the moment. Certainly, temperatures have been higher, but nothing like they've been in southern Europe. I mean, Greece and Italy were both expecting their highest temperature today. I don't know if they reached it, like their record-breaking temperature. I think they were expecting something like 116 degrees Fahrenheit. What's that, 47, 48 degrees Celsius, which is pretty crazy, to be honest. I think it was Sicily, maybe, one of the places. I can't remember where in Greece it was, but Greece, of course, is having terrible problems. Canary Islands also has been having loads of fires and things like that. I mean, we had pretty much every day last week forest fire warnings, but as far as I know, nothing much happened, thankfully, with regards to that. But yeah, it's I don't know what's going on. It's crazy times in which we're living. But yeah, I heard, obviously, Steve, in the States, it's pretty bad, isn't it? There's a big heat wave across much of central and eastern United States. Is it in the West as well? I'm not entirely sure. I just saw it was pretty bad in Arizona and Florida. So yeah, strange times in which we live. So what's everybody else reading? Ivan, if you're still around, are you a regular BookTube follower? If you're new to my channel, are you regularly watching the likes of Steve or MJ? And if so, what are you reading? Huge swathe of the middle of the United States is under seemingly immovable heat dome. It's horrific. But at least one thing is, a lot of you guys tend to have air conditioning, which I suppose might exacerbate the problem somewhat, but also give some relief, which not many of us here have access to air conditioning. Although luckily in these old things it's not too bad. And what is a real joy is if you go down to the cellar or the basement. I have to say, it's like an icebox down there. So if it weren't for it looking like some kind of dungeon around the back of the Odeon in Leeds in Steve's heyday, I would probably be tempted to go and sleep down there. Morgaine says that they're also reading How a Poem Moves, which is also slow going but very interesting. And Ariana is reading Frankenstein for the first time and really enjoying it. Yeah, I read it for the first time not that long ago myself. Which are you reading? Are you reading the 1818 or 1831 edition? Because they're a bit different. And Grace, you're reading Bound to Please, an extraordinary one-volume literary education. It sounds interesting. It sounds. I do enjoy books about books. Definitely, great fun. Great fun indeed. 1818. Yeah, that's the one I read, and I enjoyed it. It was nothing like I imagined it to be. I think sometimes these books that are so super famous, their fame kind of, um, you know, what's the word? Not precludes. See, I've lived here too long. I think my English is suffering. Kind of blots out a little bit, the story's so famous that you go to it with some preconception of what it's going to be, and then often it turns out not to be like that. I found with a lot of things I've read this year, what's it called, Les Miserables, or even Lonesome Dove to some degree. Steve, I've just read a 450-page history of Africa just since the live stream began. Yeah, I'm not. I wouldn't be surprised. I have to say, I wouldn't be surprised at all. MJ, I just started reading Augustina Bazterrica's short story collection called 19 Claws and a Blackbird. A short book, 18 stories told in 153 pages. Well, that sounds interesting. Where's she from? Is that a translation work, or it's an interesting name? Sorry, I should keep talking, should I? I wait for a reply, but then of course I realize it takes a bit of time to reply. So, FM Sakina, I'm reading a lot of short story collections at the moment. Divided Loyalties by an Iranian Canadian, Fruiting Bodies by Catherine Harlan, and Shit Fever by Andrea Barrett. Okay, well I don't know those. I have to say I'm not very up on modern short story collections. I tend to read a lot of the public domain ones because it's kind of nice that you can pick up, tons of short story collections on things like Project Gutenberg and whatnot. So I tend to go back. Okay, yeah. I thought the name looked a bit Iberian. It almost looks Basque, actually, or Catalan or Basque, maybe. But I'm no expert. So yeah. Yeah, I do feel a fraud not having a cup of tea today, but it's just too humid. So I've gone with the water. I'm going to do what Steve hates, and that's drink while making a video, but I'm just too thirsty. I don't know. A lot of you have pets, and it is hard, isn't it, when it gets really hot for the animals? I think, Elvis and I have our little ritual around 2:00, which is a terrible time, really. But it's kind of, we got used to it, where we go out and play rather than just go for a walk. And in these temperatures, he can only last like 10-15 minutes running around with his ball. But it's kind of funny because I think he would never stop if I didn't make him, because I remember when he was younger, it got really hot, and I think we were just walking, and he was just running around, and he just started to overheat. Yeah, it's quite scary when they overheat. And I was watching him in the garden earlier, because we have a kind of garden out the back, which is quite fine for just running around in this heat. But then you can just see the tongue come out, and it seems to get longer and longer as he gets hotter and hotter. And once it gets to a certain length, I'm like, okay, that's it, Elvis, time to go in. What have we got? Yeah, okay. FM Sakina. Your buddy reading Dividing Loyalties. Oh, okay. Oh, awesome. So you two are reading that together. That's great. Yeah, I do enjoy a good buddy read. I quite a lot of what I read at the moment is buddy read. I'm actually buddy reading, although I've been a terrible buddy so far. Well, at least for the last week or so, I'm buddy reading Gone with the Wind, and the person I'm buddy reading it with is way ahead of me at the moment. That can be the problem, I suppose. Yeah. sometimes with buddy reads, because it only takes, a small thing to kind of knock you off course, and one or other of the people can kind of zoom ahead, and that's that. But it's still nice to, obviously have somebody to talk to about it. And because Ariane and FM Sukina, you guys don't have channels, so when you buddy read, what do you use? Do you Messenger or Instagram each other, or WhatsApp each other? Oh, okay. So as you can see, then I'm buddy reading it with Summer. I didn't know if I should mention it or not. I'd never like to throw it out there without other people's agreements. Voxer. Yeah, Voxer's a good. Well, I say it's a good thing. I mean, everyone seems to use it, but it is so buggy. It really annoys me. The amount of time I get these photographs from people and they almost never come through, or you start listening to a message. It got so bad that I had the pro version, and I just canceled my subscription. I decided to use the free version for now. Ivan or Ivan, I don't know which you prefer. I read a lot, but I like watching BookTube. Yeah, there is something rather soothing and relaxing about watching BookTube. I think I saw Steve has a video out. Was it yesterday? I haven't watched it yet, but I saw 100. Was it favorite non-fiction reads? That's some undertaking, that is, to put them all together in a video. I think I could probably do it, but I would have to break the video up. I'm not sure I could. It would take me a while to literally come up with all 100. FM Sukina. It is buggy, but WhatsApp works as well. Yeah. Will's here. Hi, Will. You're 30 pages from the end of Shuggy Bane. And what are your thoughts? Is it all you hoped it would be and more? It's not something that's really come onto my radar, I have to say. But it's just so difficult, because I feel so often that I need to expand my reading, but then there is just so much of the stuff I like to read that I want to read that I just know I won't be able to read in my lifetime anyway. So I feel kind of, sometimes hesitant to jump into something that, might not normally be my cup of tea. So yeah, words can inspire. Oh wow, I've just caught a live. Oh, I mean, you're not imagining it. I am, I am live, at least for the moment. Will, you think it's deliberately jaded you, and you're not happy about it? Yeah. No, it's interesting when books can really have an effect on you. When I was talking in the live last night for the Women's World Cup, they were discussing a book, and I've forgotten the name. And they were talking about how the first chapter caused them all to cry, and I thought, my goodness, that's got to be something, isn't it? When you embark on a book and the first chapter leaves you in tears, I'm not sure how I'd feel about it. I suppose it depends, on what kind of tears they were, as to whether or not I'd want to really continue if the first chapter did that to me. But yeah, because normally it's something, isn't it, that you expect to come towards the end. So I've drawn a blank there. If there's old age or what. I have a podcast out, by the way. I don't know if anyone's taken the time to listen to it. I don't blame you if you haven't. After all, it is an hour and 3 minutes of your lives that you'll never get back. But I kind of enjoyed doing it, and I'm planning on moving on with it. In fact, Will, you expressed an interest in doing an episode, and I'll definitely get in touch with you about that, because that would be fun. And I do enjoy the podcast making process. It just does take a lot more time than BookTube, that's for sure. But yeah, there's something more in kind of creating it, I suppose. So what have we got here? Ivan, I accidentally found your channel through Sean's channel. I've been reading Death's End by Liu Cixin for a long time. It's the third book of his trilogy. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I've heard of that. So it's taking a long time. Is that because you're not really enjoying it and you feel you have to finish it, or what? Will, you have to say the first episode. Really? Well, that thank you. I've had one or two people say they enjoyed it, but I'm never sure if people are just being kind. Now, I probably will not use the background noises, the sound effects in future, but I just felt I needed something to differentiate me speaking from me reading, if that makes sense. But because I didn't, well, I suppose I could have put on my pirate voice for each reading, couldn't I? That would have been something. Dear. Words can inspire. Yeah, I was traumatized reading a D.M. Thomas when I was a teen. Years later, I met the author. I almost wanted to give him a piece of my mind regarding my previous trauma experience reading his stuff. Well, that would have been fun. Well, thank you. I'm glad. Ivan, I like it, but I'm a slow reader, and the third book is quite long. Well, I think, unless you're working to a deadline, or you're someone like Steve Donahue, or in a high pressured buddy read, then you don't, just take your time over it, enjoy. I think reading should never really be a chore, and neither should booktube, I suppose, of course. Yeah. Yeah, I have read some Somerset Maugham. In fact, somebody, and I still don't know who, sent me a beautiful Everyman book of Somerset Maugham's short stories, and and they just signed it from a fellow Somerset Maugham fan, and I do like him. Hannah, where can you find the podcast? Where you can look in the description of this video. It gives a variety of links to the podcast. It's on YouTube, so there's no video. It's just a picture of me because I just did the audio. Or you can listen on, I don't know, Audible, Amazon Music, Spotify, iTunes. So yeah, it was fun. It was fun to do, and I'm really hoping the next episodes will, I will have people on it with me, because I'm not sure, really how nice it is for people to have to listen to only me talking for an hour. Although, maybe this will be an hour, but maybe not. We'll see. Let's see. Words can inspire. However, I kind of wonder if you should do the discussion part before reading the text. Author. Yeah. I just thought I'd add it into what I was talking about, if that makes sense, or try to at least. When I talked about his childhood, and then I read an excerpt where he describes poverty in his childhood, or that kind of thing, or when I wanted to talk about his traveling in America, and then read some excerpts about his travels in America. That's what I thought would be better, but yeah, I'll take that under consideration. Thank you. The Spaminator is here. Oh my goodness, not at work. Wow, fancy that. It's hotter than yeah, really. Yeah, I can't. Well, how hot is that then? Because I never, I wasn't a massive Jennifer Lopez fan, to be honest. Trying to think who would have been my pin-up girl in 1995. Definitely would have had a few. Maybe Claudia Schiffer. Yeah. What's it like? Well, I don't. When I clicked on the podcast facility for YouTube, they just it's there. So when you click on the podcast thing, that's where it is. So it is a video, but it's just a picture, obviously. That's unless there's something I missed. But when you go to that channel and you click under podcast, it just comes up with a playlist that's classified as a podcast. So that's what that is. Yeah, but it's fun, and I do have a few people lined up, which I think will be kind of interesting. I just need some more people who would be willing to come on to talk about female authors. Haven't got too many of those, and I don't want to be accused of putting out podcasts just concentrating on male authors. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. And you're loving cakes and ale, Summer. Well, that's good. I like a bit of cakes and ale myself, especially this time of year. So you could do Ambronte with me. You could be my guest on Ambronte, and we can sit and chat for an hour. No video, voice only, if that bothered you. And we could do it as a video, but then I can just extract the audio when I put it out. So yeah. How hot is that? 97 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, cool. Yes, do email me. Yeah. I'm quite happy for people to email me. It's very easy to email me as well because it's just my channel name at gmail.com. So it's kind of self-explanatory, really. Well, if you can talk for England, that's great. Who knows? It could be a two-parter. See, the issue there is, of course, I'm not much of an expert on Ambronte, so I will only be able to ask you a lot of questions and things rather than take an active part in the discussion. But we'll see where it takes us. Could be interesting. Yes, yeah, do that. Do that. Email me later. That's probably what you're going to see. You'll probably see less on this channel for a while and more. Well, I say more. I only plan the podcast to come out monthly. And as I say, I don't think there'll be too much coming up on this channel. I might do the odd live like this, but I expect to be fairly quiet. I'm toying with the idea of a hiatus from the channel for a while, until things get sorted out with, finishing the house and things like that. And obviously having to put the time that I would put into YouTube, putting it towards lessons online or face-to-face or whatever, is something I have to do properly. So yeah, I know you'll all be crying into your books, onto your pillows. Oh no, what are we going to do? Months, no book time with Elvis. Wow, obviously I can't imagine I'll be able to stay quiet for a complete 9 months. It wouldn't be like a Jason or someone, be completely quiet. So we'll see how it all works out, really. Yeah. What about anybody else? Even if you're not interested in coming on the podcast to discuss it, have you got people watching? Have you got an all-time favorite author? Somebody you feel you could talk about? Like if you had to, if they put a gun to your head and said you have to take part in a quiz show tomorrow on the life of this particular author. I'm guessing, Summer, if you're still here, I'm guessing it would be a certain Santiago. I can't remember what King in Spanish. Well, Santiago's James, isn't it? No, what's Stephen? I don't know. Esteban is Stephen, isn't it? I don't remember what King is in Spanish. Yeah. So Stephen King. There we go. I'm sure you would do Stephen King probably as your expert subject. Yourself, yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose according to my criteria, the author should be dead. So in which case, probably wouldn't be good to be yourself or Stephen King. And the reason why I wanted to go with, for now, dead authors is because I think it just is easier to talk about them. There's more stuff related to them in like the public domain and things, and you don't really run the risk of libeling them or slandering them or whatever. What would you have to do? What would you do if you had to do a dead one, Summer? It wasn't Stephen King. Who would be your dead author of choice? There's a lot, of course, a lot to choose from in terms of the dead author crowd, isn't there? Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine a lot of people have the hamster wheel going around at the moment, going, "Hey, who would I choose? Who would be my specialist chosen subject of an author on Mastermind? An author who's no longer with us." So, you know, Parlebane. Well, hello. Um, yeah, yeah, Margaret. I've not read her autobiography. But she's on my list. She's on my list as somebody to do. So, Summer, Austin or Steinbeck? Yeah, okay. Uh huh. Uh huh. Mark Twain for the Spaminator. Super. Uh, well, Daphne, Virginia, or Anne Bronte, I suppose. Yeah, yeah. Thomas Hardy. Yeah, he had a dog called Wessex. Do you know that? So I guess is apt. Yeah, Daphne du Maurier is definitely on my list. So Margaret Oliphant, Daphne du Maurier, Ouida is on my list as well of female authors. I have a list of female authors I want to do, but I don't know too many people that would be able to talk about them. So that would kind of relieve me from having to do it all myself, right? So, and I think that's also something that's another reason why I'll cut back a little bit on the channel and the reading, because I want to pursue the podcast, and that requires reading for it and research for it, right? So yeah, so I'll probably have to duck out a bit of some of these events and things. I mean, I will continue the ones I'm committed to, like up till the end of this World Cup, Women's World Cup readathon, at least. So, Anne doesn't get enough respect. No, no, no. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, Cornwall, she's probably a massive local hero. But she's interesting. I mean, she definitely had an interest. I mean, she comes from an interesting family, for one thing, of course, Daphne du Maurier. But I mean, it's kind of interesting because she was married to Boy Browning, who was British general in the Second World War, the one who came up with the whole Operation Market Garden, the bridge too far. Dirk Bogarde plays him in the film. Um, and that was her husband, and it was interesting because when they met and started seeing each other, she was kind of not fussed by marriage or anything like that. She seemed a bit kind of anti-marriage, really, and it was only because because of Frederick Browning and Boy Browning's job, as an army officer, and propriety's sake, and how things would look and how it would damage his career if they were to like shack up together without being married, that she agreed to marry him. So, pretty cool. pretty interesting. So it shows that she was, pretty open-minded. Now you'd like to learn more about Frances Trollope. Okay. Oh. I can't tell you more about them, off the top of my head, I have to say. If Steve's here, he probably could, of course. I'm sure he has like 1,001 author biographies swimming around in his head. But I do a lot of these authors, from the 19th century and Edwardian eras did have quite interesting lives. I love reading the anecdotes and little tidbits about them, and like Evelyn Waugh being such a horrible, horrible person, like really, really loathsome person. So he would be a very fun episode to do, I think. Just as how horrible he was. Could be fun. I mean, even Hemingway, who I know is like a lot of people, they either love or loathe him. There's no denying that the man's life is interesting. Yeah. Was it Steve called him the original or something? But I mean, he certainly lived, and that'd be also an interesting discussion. Yeah. Yeah, it is really, really humid, I have to say. Just sitting here, not doing anything, I'm just starting to think, it's really, really hot. And I've got the fan on, but when the fan gets to the point where it's just churning around hot air and it's not really doing anything, I did buy a nice, more high-tech one the other week. And Elvis has taken to, it's his new favorite place now, sleeping in front of that. Although sometimes I forget he's lying there when I turn it on to rotate, and she causes a bit of a furor, whereas he's like half asleep, and then the fan, I turn it on to rotate and it hits him up the backside. He's like, oh! He runs off. But we had an interesting, or rather interesting, not really interesting, but strange situation. Was it yesterday? No, 2 days ago. I don't know other dog people here, but we had the windows open because it was hot, and a couple of flies got in, and Elvis went to have his dinner, and I guess, yes, I'm talking about you, and I guess one of them buzzed him or went near him, and he ran away. He literally ran away. I heard the whole. This is because I've got like wooden floors, and there's just like paws on it. I heard that as he ran past me, ran under the bed, and wouldn't eat his dinner. He wouldn't come out and eat his dinner. I tried to coax him out. He came out. He started again, and maybe one of the flies came back or whatever, and off he went again. In the end, I had to bring his dinner bowl, put it right next to the desk here, and I had my fly swatter. I felt like one of those punka wallers, that you'd see in like TV shows of the Raj and stuff, waving my fly swatter around Elvis so he could eat his dinner. Weird. I don't know. He's a big fraidy cat, aren't you? Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be me having to face any burglars or anything, wouldn't it? Yeah. FM Sakina. I'm from a very humid part of southwestern Ontario in Canada. My tips are lots of hot water to cold showers, cold water to drink, and fans. I'm in the minority because I don't use air conditioning. Yeah, I'm never sure about that. Okay, hot water to cold water. But when you isn't it the case though? Like when you cold water your body or you drink cold drinks and you eat ice cream, you're not actually cooling yourself down because the cold causes your body to want to heat itself up. Isn't that why, like, in all these hot countries, they do drink hot drinks, eat hot and spicy food, because when you get hot, you cool down? Is that right? I mean, I'm no biologist, but yeah. If you eat hot cayenne pepper food soup daily, it actually cools the body down. Yeah, that's really kind of what I heard. I think we talked about it the other day with Sean, because he was complaining about how spicy food just tastes sweet to him. But yeah, I think that's the thing, because I've noticed it. Where when it feels nice when you pour the cold water on you for a second, but then afterwards you start to feel, I think, a little bit hotter than before. So there we go. Well, everybody, as I said, I just thought I would pop on, say hi, give a little update, as I say, and yeah, I'm not sure when you'll next see me. Obviously, little pitch. Obviously, you can subscribe down below to my new thing, and then you'll be able to see me a bit more often. But for a while, I will be, as I say, probably offline. If Sean wants to do a live, or if he has the ability to, I'll probably jump on with him now and again. But as I say, don't be surprised if the channel seems a bit quiet for a few months, because yeah, I've just got other things to do for now, unfortunately. Just before we go, I will read last few comments. My giant dog saw his first possum. What's the difference between opossum and possum? Or should it always be opossum, but some people just write possum? In the yard a while back, it just waddled out from under the steps, looked around and waddled away. Dog just stood there frozen in fear. Yeah, I can imagine Elvis being something like that, though probably he would have run away. He's definitely got the flight over fight response, I think. Dry hot weather is fine. I lived in the Middle East, and it was a completely different story. Yeah, the humidity is what gets you, definitely. Oh, sorry, I missed that. Yeah, I don't find that hot foods and beverages help me, but I don't know for other people. I can't drink hot beverages in humid weather. Okay, well, there we have it. I wish you all a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, depending where you happen to be. And keep well, and we shall see again sometime. Bye bye, everybody.